it was going to be, mid-60s, and it was going to be windy, and Kathy was concerned, and I says, Kath, and then they were expecting a drizzle. I says, they may not even go. And who's going to go in the water? They're not going to go in the water.
Here in the angry waves of Lake Michigan yesterday afternoon, officials say the waves were between 3 and 5 feet high at New Buffalo City Beach. The call came in at 3:30 that someone was struggling in the water. Lifeguards swam out and pulled Kocher from the waves. They performed CPR on the beach before rushing him to a local hospital.
Here we go.
A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I, J, K, L, M, O, P, Q, R, S, T, U, V, W, X, Y, and Z.
When I think about Matt growing up, I think about how happy he was. He just embraced life. He was always so joyful and happy, and we were involved in so many different things.
He was involved in all kinds of different enrichment programs. He was a smart kid. He was involved in sports.
Seemed like he always had a smile on his face and was very easygoing and gentle and had such a wonderful sense of humor. And we had so much fun here.
All right. Okay. What? Okay.
The day that Matt left for camp was a Monday. And I remember that in the past when he went to camp, we both took him to camp. But being a big guy now, he didn't need mom and dad taking him to camp. So just dad was going to take him. He was getting his things together that morning, and he went out to the car. After I hugged him and kissed him goodbye and said, have a good week. And then he came back in one more time to, give more hugs and kisses and say goodbye. And then I ran out along the car in the driveway. I just had my bathrobe on, and I was smiling and waving and blowing him kisses goodbye. And then John later said that, he said, what's mom doing? What's she doing out here in her bathrobe? So that, that's the last time I saw Matt alive. So I always think about that. Well, I just remember feeling restless that morning. I just kind of had a bad feeling. And then I did try to call camp. I just wanted to talk to someone to see what was happening with the trip. And when I called, there was no answer. Just went into voicemail. So I just hung up. My nephew called the house and we were chatting. He always calls here to check in. And then he asked about Matt being away at camp. And I told him I was worried because there was the weather was bad and that he was going to be in Lake Michigan. And I remember he said to me, oh, don't worry, Aunt Kathleen. Matthew has a good head on his shoulders and he'll be fine. And we ended our phone call. And then it was less than 7 minutes later that the phone rang. John came running up and you took the phone.
Yeah.
And
yeah, he said, I says, what's going on? And she says, your son has been in a water accident. I says, well, how's he doing? She says, you should come right away. Then the phone rang again. And it's the emergency room doctor. And he said, you got to come right away. His condition's grave. Or I said, what's his condition? I says, is he alive? Is he alive? And he goes, his condition is grave. I says, okay, we'll be there in an hour, whatever it takes. We were only about a half hour there, and they said they called and said they're going to airlift Matt to the University of Chicago. So we got to the hospital, and probably a half hour after that, then Matt arrived. He was hooked up to all these tubes, and they said that, things are dropping. And he says, do you want the rest of the family here? So we all surrounded Matt. We were holding them. We were all praying, telling them we love them. And then it all went, and Matt was gone. And it's when, everything changed. Everything changed then.
I don't even think we cried in that moment when we were in the hospital with Matt. It was just so unbelievably shocking. And I still didn't understand what had happened. That how he could just be dead, laying there dead. He went to camp to get service hours for high school. He went with 4 of his best friends. He was supposed to have the experience of a lifetime. And he was only a couple towns away. It wasn't like he went out of state to get far away to camp. Mm-hmm. We felt comfortable that he was close to home. It was very, very surreal. They were just jumping the waves. They were only like waist high to knee high, playing in the water. They weren't swimming out in the water. So I didn't understand any of it. And then we left. We went home. We left Matt. I looked back over my shoulder one last time. He was laying there on the table. And he was dead, and we had to go home. That was the worst day of our lives.
Mm-hmm. Sure was, yeah.
It's horrible.
Today it's been 1,354 days since Meg got caught in her current. Meg was no match for it. We were pool people. It was Kathy's motivation that got us involved with starting a foundation.
Found out about how drowning is preventable, that everything that had happened to him could have been prevented. And we felt so passionate that we didn't want this to happen to anybody else. So even though we couldn't save Matt, we could use our experience to get the word out for other people and try and prevent any of this happening to anybody else. We were so grief-stricken, and we didn't want anybody else to go through what we were going through. Our good friend and neighbor Ruth Richardson, she said she would help us. And she started looking on the internet, and that's when she found the Great Lakes Surf Rescue Project.
Good morning. Good morning. Oh, you guys will be better than that. Good morning.
Good morning.
Thank you. My name is Dave Benjamin. I'm with the Great Lakes Surf Rescue Project. We're going to talk about water safety today.
I get a phone call. It's from Matthew's parents' friend and neighbor asking if I could come to their house and meet them because, Matthew had just died in a drowning incident in Lake Michigan.
We had a meeting at her house, and John was there, and I was there, and then Ruth and our friend Diane. And we started just the initial discussion about water safety and drowning prevention.
Speaking with them to explain what happened and why it happened, and that there's the winds make the waves and the waves make dangerous currents, and we can have structures like piers and rock walls that can amplify the currents. And so it was pretty factual from what I remember, explaining, what happened, why the conditions were created. In addition to that, we started talking about like the big picture drowning. At this point, 2013, we had been working Great Lakes Surf Rescue Project for 3 years of advocacy in the media, in the public, doing school presentations. And with 3 years of doing that, very few people really even knew about us or even knew about rip currents in the Great Lakes still.
Drowning is preventable with some education, and Matt's drowning was totally preventable if he would have had the knowledge, if he would have been educated with the right information about water safety.
And so we found out that one of the things that the Great Lakes Surf Rescue Project does is go into schools and educate students about water safety, and also a survival strategy called Flip, Float, and Follow. So we started working with them, and we had a presentation in Andrew High School where Matt went to school, because we just felt so desperate and passionate to get this information out to everybody at his high school so that this wouldn't happen to anybody there. So we had our first presentation that following May of 2014 for the whole student body at Andrew High School. So that was our first water safety presentation.
Mm-hmm.
And then we developed a partnership with the Great Lakes Surf Rescue Project, and since then every year have gone on to have various presentations at area schools, and to this date we've done in partnership over 320 presentations.
They started raising some money and they started funding water safety presentations in schools in Illinois. So our first year, 2011, we did 5 presentations. But now, 2019, we've done over 850 presentations in 7 of the 8 Great Lakes states. And the Matthew Kocher Foundation has funded almost 50% of all of our presentations.
So the Matthew Kocher Foundation is a 501c3. It was established in 2014. It's in memory of Matt. And the mission of the Matthew Kocher Foundation is to provide water safety education, presentations to in schools and in any kind of youth groups that are interested. We also award scholarships to deserving seniors, students who are like Matt, and also we promote community service, and we have community service projects that we do. So that's our threefold mission.
So what we're doing here today is we are wrapping gifts for families in need and families with medical issues and medical histories. And a part of the Matthew Kocher Foundation, what we like to do is we like to just volunteer. That's basically what our motto is serving to help others.
1, 2, 3.
We wish you a Merry Christmas. We wish you a Merry Christmas. We wish you a Merry Christmas.
Today we're here at Smith Crossing Retirement Home, and we are doing a service project. We're singing Christmas carols to the residents at the facility here. And I think this is our 4th year singing carols here, and it's spearheaded by our youth advisory board. So one of the students is the event leader, and she was responsible for getting all the singers on board. I think we have about 26 people that are supposed to be singing today.
Have a holly jolly Christmas, and in case you didn't hear, oh by golly, have a holly jolly Christmas this year.
We make cards for veterans each year. We've made cards for sick kids in the hospital. We've done a food drive every year. We have also collected toys for kids with cancer. We have a trim a tree in Tinley Park. We decorate a tree in memory of Matt. We do community service projects all year long. So at the first of the year, we have the Matt Kocher Games. That's a Special Olympics event that is held at Richards High School in Oak Lawn. And that was renamed in memory of Matt because he used to volunteer there with John. And we help out with this day-long event. It's a basketball tournament.
The Matt Kocher games, Matt was my son, or is my son. He's in heaven. And when he was just a little kid, he would come with me. We'd make hot dogs, so my crew would be in there making hot dogs, doing the same thing. Wrapping hot dogs, filling lunch bags, okay? Matt just loved it. He was very, very humble about it too. And each year he'd say, Dad, can I go with you on that? Yeah, Matt, come on. And he would love coming because he would love high-fiving the athletes. The athletes were so thankful. He goes, Dad, those athletes are having so much fun. Why don't all athletes act like that? Why don't they all have as much fun? So Matt passed, it'll be almost at 6.5 years. He drowned in a Lake Michigan accident. And the kindness of the administration here at Richards High School asked if they could rename these games in honor of our son, my wife Kathy, and myself, in honor of Matt. Okay? So in memory of Matt, I would ask that you guys go out of your way to be as nice and as giving as you could possibly be.
And then we have an Adopt-A-Road in Tinley Park that's through the police department. It's a program where we adopted a stretch of road near our home and we clean that up at least 4 times a year. And we always go out with a big group of people that help us pick up trash and garbage along the routes. Then we do the world's largest swim lesson. We do that in June of every year at our pool, weather permitting. We also participate in National Night Out, where we set up a booth in Tinley Park and we talk to parents and children about water safety. So it's all kinds of different community groups that set up a booth there, and we talk to parents and kids about water safety. For the children, we provide simple concepts about water safety, and then we talk to the parents on a more in-depth level about our experience losing our child, and that we're doing this because we don't want anyone else to go through what we have.
How old are you now, Matthew?
4.
Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Matthew. Happy birthday.
bless you. May the dear Lord bless you. May the dear Lord bless Matthew. Happy birthday to you. Blow him out. Come on, Matt. Hey! All right.
I'd like to show you this picture here. This is a watercolor picture that one of Matt's best friends, his younger sister Mary Grace, she drew that for us, colored it, and she gave it to us on the day of Matt's funeral. But look at how her depiction of him. She was 10 when she did this. Like, he was so tall. You know, Matt was 6'4". She gave him big, gigantic feet. He wore size 15 shoes. Look at the short pants, though. It's kind of funny. But long torso. But look how beautiful. I mean, that's her depiction, 10-year-old, of an angel. I thought that was so pretty.